Many Asian countries have their own unique take on spring rolls, but no one makes them quite as good as the Philippines. Lumpia, and I'm going to show you how to make them. So to make our lumpias, we're going to start with 2 bunches of scallions here. We're just going to cut off the ends that we don't want. These kind of have all those little imperfections, and they're not really desirable. We're going to put them in a food processor, and if we cut them small initially, they're going to blend better. Already peel these carrots. We're going to chop off the edges, set those aside. We're going to cut these in half. So they're going to break down easier once they go inside the food processor. So when you do cut something like this cabbage, we're going to cut this in half. And then also we want to remove that core. That core is incredibly thick. So we're just going to do a cross cut there. That's 1 and 2. And I always want to cut this little bit of a rib here. So we're going to remove that. Now when you cut something, there's a couple basic rules to follow. I always like to have my pointer, you want to use your dominant hand to start. And then I want to have my knuckle from my pointer finger in line with the blade. My fingers, my pointer finger and my thumb are going to be on the blade itself, more towards the heel of the knife. And this finger is the first finger that's going to be on the handle of the knife. And I position it in my hand, and if you go back, it's more or less in line with my wrist, and I'm creating a sort of a straight line. So really this knife is now becoming an extension of my hand. So now this knife is essentially a part of my hand, and I'm gonna go with the basic mechanics of the way the knife was designed. They did that, of course, for a reason. So if you have an upward curve, you already know that this knife is designed to be rocked for best use. So I'm going to cut like this. So we're going to take our first item. I'm choosing the green onions or scallions. We're going to put those in. And depending, we might do it in 2 rounds. We're going to put this on top. And we're going to start to pulse it. And that looks to me like 1 cup of the green onion. And that is ingredient number 1. We're going to move on to the carrots. Now pulsing these is a little tougher, it's a little stronger. So these carrots are blended enough. Putting them into our cup, and that's just shy of a cup. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to add just 1 spoon more. And now finally on to the last of the vegetables, our cabbage. We're going to add this. I already know for a fact this is way too much cabbage. You can add different vegetables that you would like. You can add ginger if you want. Something tells me this is enough. At 1 cup, and for vegetables, with the exception of garlic, that's pretty much it. And now we're gonna add 1 pound of ground pork. But you do wanna make sure, as you analyze the pork, that you want a good ratio of fat to meat. Those vegetables that we essentially minced. This is a very vegetable heavy version. I do love vegetables, and we have to make this to some degree healthy. So vegetables are in. So we are going to add 1 egg. This is 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of MSG. Controversial ingredient. I don't have a problem with MSG. And 2 medium to large cloves of garlic, and we're just going to grate that in. And now using our bare hands, which I'm going to clean quickly, and it's almost sticky, and that is from the fat that I'm agitating. So that is nicely mixed, emulsified, eggs in there, all your seasonings blended. Now we're gonna take a piece of plastic, we're gonna cover this, and we're gonna let this sit inside the refrigerator for at least 1 hour. And now we're gonna prep our lumpia wrapper. Now this is quite a small bowl. Tablespoon or 2 of water. And I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. So using a small whisk. Egg wash, ready to go. So while we have our farce in the refrigerator, we're gonna put together a quick sauce. Now I'm not saying this is a traditional sauce, but it's the sauce that I enjoy with my lumpia. 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of okonomiyaki sauce. 1 trick with honey, when I measure honey, I always warm it up so it's easier to pour. 1 teaspoon of Korean chili flake. Now, this is not really spicy. It just adds a little bit of a fruity flavor. 1/2 teaspoon of MSG and 1 clove of garlic. I'm using a fine microplane for this one. And when you have a microplane like this, you don't want to press too hard because you're going to take those little grates and you're going to make them flat so they don't actually grind anything anymore. That's your clove of garlic. So now we're on to the rolling portion of the lumpia. This is the brand I always use for the wrapper. Now, taking them off or separating the wrappers is kind of a chore. They are easy to break and rip, and you don't want to do that. I have my egg wash with the cornstarch inside, and this is the farce that we made earlier. I'm going to quenelle. And the reason I'm doing this is a portion control. So those are about the same size. We're gonna spread them. I'm gonna mix that cornstarch back into the egg wash, and we're gonna put this all over. Now for the rolling. I'm gonna take the back edge and I'm gonna put it to the front like this, slide it up, whole. And this is gonna give you that round shape. And it's also gonna disperse the filling, the farce, out to the sides. So there's not really much air inside the middle. So for me, this is the best way to kind of cover all those bases. We're gonna take these edges, we're gonna put them in like this. And that is the first lumpia. I popped them into the freezer for a few minutes so they can get set. We're ready for the first fry. We're gonna fry this in 2 rounds. The oil now is at 300 degrees. We're gonna do the first fry at 300. Once they float, we'll remove them, let them cool, increase the heat between 325 and 350. So when they float, that's a very rough way of knowing that they're internally cooked. I wouldn't use that as a definite guide, but it is a good idea that they're at least 80–90% of the way there. So now these are floating, we're gonna remove. We're gonna do the first fry for the next round. First fry. Final fry, here we go. As you can see, the oil is much more aggressive. It's bubbling quite hard in a controllable way, but pretty hard. We're gonna let those just get a little bit more color. They're fully cooked already. We're gonna let them get a bit more color. So I feel like these are ready. They're good to go. We're gonna start to remove them. Ready? Ooh. Let's give it a shot. Wow. Whoa.